What's happening, Steam? Let's talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to cryptocurrency profits, and that's taxes. Now, I'm not going to talk about the merits or the demerits of taxation or the fairness and the unfairness of taxation. All I'm going to say is that unless you live in a tax haven, taxes are going to play some role when it comes to your cryptocurrency profit. Now, all I'm saying here is my own personal opinion. I'm not a financial expert, I'm not a tax expert. However, I'm just another person in cryptocurrency trying to figure out what the hell is going on, because there is no straightforward answer, and I am just relating what I'm finding out to you guys. And what I'm saying applies today and might not apply in a week's time, because I'm finding out new stuff every day. So, one thing I would say is that some people are holding on to their crypto, waiting for the day that crypto becomes mainstream and they can buy stuff through their cryptocurrency. And I know there is a pool of thought that you can almost avoid taxes that way. Let's get this out of the way straight away. If crypto becomes mainstream, governments will find a way to try and tax your crypto directly. That's my view. So you should always have it in mind that at some stage, you're going to need to pay some kind of taxes on your crypto. And second point is, don't think that because time has elapsed and you sold your cryptos back in 2015 or whenever it was, that they can't then go dig into your records if they think it's worth their while to try and tax you on that. Because my experience is that if there's money to be made, governments are going to make it. Right? So those are two things I want to get out of the way, out of the bat. What a lot of people are doing is, taking some profits and converting that into their local currency. And when you do that, you can almost guarantee, bet your bottom dollar, that if it's above a certain threshold, your government's going to want to tax it. And you want to know if you're below a certain threshold and whether that's tax-free. You want to find this out officially. You don't just want to assume. So I think, you need to do that little bit of investigation to work out, well, I've only taken out $5,000 or $4,000 this year and I earn X amount a year. And so that doesn't push me above a certain tax threshold, or it's tax-free, or whatever it is for your local jurisdiction. Know that for yourself so that you're safe and secure. If you are taking out large amounts of taxes, don't think your government does not want its pound of flesh in terms of taxing you, because it will. And I guess let's go through the permutation, right? The best permutation for everybody is that all of this activity around cryptocurrency is very, very speculative, and it's akin to gambling. And in the UK, gambling, you're not taxed as the punter. Here's why I feel this argument potentially won't work. And that's because although they don't tax you, the punter, they usually tax the establishment that you go to. So whether that's Betfair, Coral, Ladbrokes or a casino, they get taxed. So it's just convenient for them to tax the establishment rather than tax the punter. However, in cryptocurrency, there is no establishment that's doling out your profit. I mean, you could say the blockchain. Good luck to the government that tries to tax the blockchain. So I think the best case scenario is that the governments look at it and say, we don't want to deal with this mess. If you want to deal with cryptocurrency, you're gambling. You win, well done to you. You lose, you're tough titties. We're not involved. That could potentially happen. But if that is happening in your jurisdiction, make sure that you know that for a fact. I think that's unlikely. The next stage is it could be deemed as capital gains tax. So if you bought your Bitcoin for $500 and now it's worth $500,000, happy days. Assuming you haven't touched it, it's just sat there, it's just gained in value. You can cash that out for $500,000, then you'll be taxed capital gains tax in the UK on the profit you've made, and that is usually around 20%. So I would say the least you would have to pay in tax would be 20%. You then get into other activities that could be deemed a little bit more than just gain on your capital. So for example, a lot of the people watching this will be on Steemit, and you'll be blogging on Steemit, and you'll be getting rewarded on Steemit. And this is where the argument comes, you know, is that just capital gains, or is that actually something that should be taxed or on as income tax? And so you might need to be having some conversations or be trying to make an argument that it is not income tax, which you need to pay income tax and national insurance, etc., which is a higher rate than capital gains. I think the arguments against it not being income tax is, well, let's talk about the arguments for. So you have a reward pool, and you are in some ways putting some effort in. So let's say we want to make the argument that it's gambling. You're putting some effort in, so that effort can be deemed almost like your bet. And then you're seeing what you get in terms of returns. And on some days that might be a flat zero, and in other days that might be, hey, $200, $300. So if you want to make that argument, you can potentially make that argument that we're just gambling here, right? So you might have been told that gambling is bad, but when it comes to crypto and taxes, gambling is good, right? In the UK at least. That's an argument. I don't know how that's going to fly, but you need to picture that. You need to pitch that and contain that appropriately. And also gambling, the speculative aspect is that although it might be today you've got $500 worth of Steem, when you come to cash out, it might be a lot less than that. It might be a lot more than that. So there's that very speculative nature. So if they're looking to tax, at what point are they going to tax? So there's lots of arguments that can be made and complexity around that. And that's why I always advise you go and speak to a professional. On the flip side, you know, you've got people wandering around, and it's common parlance to say, oh, you can pay yourself on Steem, you can upvote yourself and pay yourself. Don't go talking to the tax man saying that I'm paying myself, because then you'd be deemed to be possibly self-employed. You're employing yourself and you're paying yourself, and you know you're likely to be taxed higher for that. And actually, in reality, you're not paying yourself on Steem, because when you click upvote, anybody can come along and downvote that. So whatever you think you've paid yourself, you might not have, because it can be downvoted. And in fact, every upvote in the community is subject to consent of the community. So every upvote on Steem is subject to the consent of the community, and the community can say, no, we don't like that, and we're going to downvote that. And again, to me, you're gambling, you're speculating. Fortunately, you're not using your money, but you're using your time and your attention. That's worth money potentially, and so you know you can make that argument to the taxman. All I'm doing in this video is I'm just having a think about the way that I'm framing the conversations that I'm having with my advisors when it comes to trying to take out a bit of profit in the various types of cryptos that I have. You want to frame your argument in a way that benefits you naturally, and you want to be realistic as to what the prospects are of you getting taxed. What you don't want to do is just bury your head in the sand, because then you're taking a chance, and you know the taxman doesn't like to be evaded. And if you try to evade the taxman and they catch up with you, then you can find yourself doing hard labour, and you don't want to end up going to prison just because of a bit of fun on the internet and making a bit of money out of cryptocurrency. And I know it hurts when you look at your wallet and you say, oh wow, I've got X amount. But when you look at that, that's the gross figure. You also need to think about any expenses and taxes that are linked to that. So I'm going to stop now. Just food for thought, because that's currently what's on my mind at the moment. Anyway, I will speak to you another time. I'm gone.